dew at night. And that dew provides enough moisture. And recent study confirms that lithops can absorb moisture from the surface without the moisture going to the roots. So nature has its own mechanism to make them survive. And when they are not growing during summer months, there are of course some summer growing lithops also, but most of them are winter growing. When they are not growing, they go dormant. They are just sucked in the ground, and it's very difficult to locate them in nature. I recently had gone to South Africa. We tried our level best because it was not the right time. We could not locate even one of them. And there were certain more plants which we tried. And it's such a big country, and there are different pockets for different kind of plants, mesons, aloe, everthia. But you certainly need a big help or a guide who will take you around to show you these plants. Otherwise, it's very difficult. And the country is such a wilderness, you get lost, difficult to come back. So you definitely need a very big help. So we were talking about lithops and conophytums. Conophytums seem to be a little more difficult. In most of the hobby of cacti and succulents, if you remember three principles: how much to water, when to water, and when to stop, I think half the job is done. But this is only after you know the right soil mix that you're going to use for these plants. The first thing is mixture, then comes the watering. When to start, how much, and when to stop. So if you, this I think no book can teach you, is by virtue of your experience, and you can never become a good grower without killing any plants. You all have to kill some before you come to them. They bloom in the afternoon, around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, when the sun is strong. And now we have many more hybrids coming from different parts of the world. And earlier it was, people used to try crossing a Fockeria into Fockeria. Now in America, they have started crossing different genera. A Glotophyllum into Conophytum, Conophytum into Lithop. And the results have already come, so people don't have to wait any longer. At least 100 different crosses are already on the market. And they have got lovely characteristics of 2 to 3 genera in one. And the main target is Primulens. There are different ones. But this is Neelii. Very interesting plant, flowers beautifully, very easy to grow. A good plant for beginners. This one, Fockeria, we'll add on to your list many more. Sorry. There's another very interesting group, a genera known as Glotophyllum. They just spread on the ground like a carpet. These plants are also known as belonging to the carpet weed family. So you can see how they spread, flowers beautifully, but you have to be very careful with watering. Because if you water it more, it has a tendency to rot very easily. There is another plant which many people in India think is a Glotophyllum. It is not a Glotophyllum. Because you can see the structure of the leaf. They resemble very close, and many people used to say it's a white flowering Glotophyllum. It is Gibium album. So this is a different genre altogether, but the resemblance is very, very close. There's another plant of Glotophyllum, like inside I think. It's very close to this. If you remove the flower, probably you cannot distinguish. Another very interesting and easy group is Trichodidema. This category, this is a very interesting, easy plant, and in this genre, there are certain members which have an underground caudex. Caudex is nothing but a swollen root, and often people have a tendency to expose the caudex out to exhibit as a small miniature bonsai. That the variety is, one is bulbosum, one is densum. This is densum. This also gets a caudex, but at a later stage. Bulbosum across this plant in many nurseries, common nurseries at times. And this is known as Burgeraanthus multiceps. Flowers beautifully with yellow flowers. It will just start flowering in another week or 10 days. Burgeraanthus multiceps. Once this plant comes to you, you can see from the tag. Very easy plant, mat formation, no overwatering is required, and flowers for at least 3 to 4 months. Very new introduction. I've just introduced last year this plant in the Indian collections. Little difficult. So don't try this plant, because summers it becomes a little difficult to handle this plant in the northern Indian conditions. Till you have experience like Shell, then you can start this. He is growing it successfully for last 2 years, and they are surviving very well. And I saw the flowering last year here. It was fantastic. Fantastic, this plant. So you can see the resemblances. Bata or Candicissima, they are synonyms. It gives you a beautiful light saffron to, difficult to explain the color. It's intermediate between yellow and orange, something in between. But the plant of this type, or this group, will give you at least 10 to 15 blooms in one go. That day, the plant is not visible to you. It's totally covered. And the flowers of this particular plant last for 10 to 15 days. So it's a beautiful plant. Many people can try this. Easy trial. How does it behave in northern Indian conditions? It has done very well. This variety is, I think, still not being properly named because taxonomists are planning to change the name and bring it to the group of Gibium. So this you can see is virtually a ground carpet prostrate plant. Very, very small flowers, very beautiful. And it's an evening bloomer. Around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, they start opening. And 8 o'clock bloomers, you have afternoon bloomers, you have night bloomers. And some start blooming at 8 o'clock and by 12 at night they close. So that clearly indicates they must be having some night pollinators. That means in the area where they grow, they've got some insects, some birds, which pollinate them at night. So otherwise the pollination is not possible in nature. So this is Stomatium agninum. Beautiful yellow flowers, very thin petals, as if artificially put on the plant. When it blooms, it also has a carpet. I think by January end or February first week, it will start flowering. It's late winter flower. So its dormancy extends, it goes into dormancy very late, in April. So that means till that time, you all has grown them so nicely with such a lovely top dressing. There are no chances of failure. You can use it hanging on the walls, baskets, flowers beautifully in the first week of April or May. So this plant becomes a little ticklish because when you talk of May in the northern Indian conditions and watering, so the balance has to be very delicate and appropriate to get the optimum conditions for it to flower. Otherwise it will not flower. But I have seen, I gave this plant to many people. Some of them are potfuls. And they have been flowering in December, Jan also, which is very erratic, which is not the right, but it is. But the main charm of this plant, like this shrub known as Lempranthus, last year got the award for the best flowering succulent of the show, the people who had seen hundreds of flowers in one go. Similarly, Oscularia's beauty is, it should be totally loaded with flowers. You should not be able to see the leaves, like Lempranthus. This plant is still going in the process of training. It was in a basket, recently shifted into a pot, so that's why it's little pyramida. The shell will do the rest. It was virtually half dead with 2 or 3 leaves. So I requested him that, Pijaya, can you give me this plant? I will grow it. So it's very difficult, and so I said, you give me a chance. So from that, our subject deviated to seed setting. He said it doesn't set seed. So I said no, even if with one plant you can make seed. Because there's a terminology in the botanical terms known as protogyny and protandry. Some people say that you need 2 plants for seed setting. But very few people know what is the logic. There's no question of male or female. Plant. The flowers that are born on the plant, all the flowers have male and female organs, which led to seed setting. So in some flowers, protandry takes place. Protandry means where the male organ ripens earlier. And protogyny, the name suggests, female organ. That develops. So sometimes it happens that the ripening of the receptiveness of the both organs is not at the same time for the fertilization to take place. So then we have another 2 terms which are known as self-sterile and self-fertile. I'll not go into the details, but I try to convince him that you give me one plant and I'll make, from this plant I'll make seed, and 2 years I'll send you 2-3 plants as complimentary gift from my side. So we got one rotten stem. We made plants. I have given to him. A couple of them are with me, and very soon they'll go back to the man who gave me that dead stem. From one stem, we made 10 plants. So, how beautiful flowers of this particular Lempranthus are. Much, much bigger, more lasting, and let's see the acceptability to the northern Indian climatic conditions. If they do well, then only we are going to introduce to all of you. You had asked one question just now about the growing. It's all grass and rubbish and go mix karke malis come and supply you a bag. That is actually not a leaf mold. Because of the certain limitations in these big towns and big cities, no space to make, there are no pits, nobody has time. Since I live in a mountainous area, we have made very, very huge pits. I get the dry leaves collected of oak. because oak leaves are acidic in nature, and most of them, these plants we have seen, they do very well in the acidic pH. Most of them. I'm not saying it should be highly acidic, but my medium is that, and Mr. Mathai has his own medium. Shah has recently designed his own medium, keeping in mind his limitations. But I will give him full marks since his medium is doing very well. So most of you should adopt his medium, because he has displayed lovely plants. He has grown them successfully, and a lot of people who have taken tips from him, I believe they are also doing very well, because I keep on talking to them in personal, and they all say their results are very good. So as far as the medium is concerned, that is the thing. But most important thing, as I mentioned to you earlier, was watering. Since they are winter growers, and they start showing you growth by September end, October first week, once again depending on the weather conditions. This year we had a very delayed winter in northern India. So, and the weather patterns are becoming erratic worldwide, not only here. So slightly your expertise, your experience, your common sense put together, you have to calculate the watering. But once the winter progresses, you can increase the frequency of water, make the plants healthy, and whenever you water, please water them nicely, thoroughly. Maybe once a week or 10 days. Don't keep them deprived of less water. Otherwise, they will never shape up into good plants. And this applies to all plants of cacti and succulents, not only these plants. And in most of the cases, as the March-April progresses, you start withdrawing your water, giving it lesser. In May, June, since the summers are very, very harsh, bring them to slightly shady conditions or under the shade net, 65%, 50%, depending on where you live, what are the temperatures prevailing. And accordingly, give them water just once or 10 days, 15 days, just sprinkle them so that they kept alive. You don't have to water them too much, because if you water during summers, you're bound to kill most of them. Because at the time they have entered dormancy, and dormancy means the plant is not in active growth. It's virtually sleeping. So that's the time when you're not supposed to water it, feed it. Now another important question is regarding feeding. As I mentioned to you that I use leaf mold, and leaf mold is virtually loaded with a lot of nutrients, and I use 25% sand, which comes from the mountain rivers. So that is again loaded with a lot of nutrients, so I virtually don't feed them at all. I don't need to. My only thing is that I have to repot them every year, because in that porous, rich mixture, the root growth is so healthy, so quick, that if I don't do that, the plants become pot bound and they may have a stagnant growth. So it depends the type of mixture you're using, but I would recommend you yearly repotting, either in the October first week, second week, depending on weather, and accordingly you start your watering. And watering schedule also depends on your mix. But I have to use more watering because the leaf mold is very porous. And regarding diseases, these are very, very hardy plants. You have to just protect these plants from scale insect. Scale insects, once enter your collection, it's difficult to get rid of it. And sometimes in the roots we have found mealybugs also, sometimes, not very frequently. But scale insect you can just keep away. You spray your collection once a month by any contact insecticide. You don't need a systemic insecticide, contact. Malathion is the best. It's very light. And you must alternate your pesticide. Don't use the one regularly, otherwise the insects become very immune. Some people say they are very fond of using organic sprays like neem oil. I have no experience on that, so I cannot comment on it, but some people say it works very well. I am only skeptical that it's oil based. So if it is slightly overdosed, it can have a layer on the leaf, stomata. And these two divided, these are actually two leaves fused at the base. And how the clump is formed, I'll just tell you that interesting phenomenon, because a lot of you are new people here. When initially you plant, it's a single plant. For 3 years, it remains almost single. In the 4th year, these two leaves will split in the month of February and March first week. And out of these two leaves, one body, you will see two bodies coming out. From one, two come out. That is how they multiply. And at times, like big clumps you can see here, you can calculate the age of the plant also by counting the number of heads. Sometimes, November and October first week, the plant bodies come out. And they start flowering immediately. And that is how the conophytum clumps are made, these ones. You can see this year they all flowered. You can see the dry flowers. Yeah, I will come into that. Whole family. There are many more plants belonging to shrubs, ground covers. We have tried to bring some plants here. Shall is growing here, and I've brought some of them. We like to show you, discuss with you about their nature, the cultural practices, how you can grow, and which members you should select in which part of the country. That's very important. And I have often seen at the shows when people lack knowledge, they just go by the looks of the plant and they buy, and most of them tend to kill them, and they are often discouraged and they leave the hobby. So it's very important that the new members should seek the help of old timers, senior members, and go by the plants which are hardy. That will always place you in the hobby for a longer run. Otherwise, you always discourage since you kill most of them. But I will never agree that these plants cannot be grown successfully. The example is here in front of you.